Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Christopher Gennari, and today we work on Egypt's Middle Kingdom. Egypt's Middle Kingdom is in the middle, but they didn't know that at the time. But they are the recovery from 100 years of civil war and the fading away of the Old Kingdom. The Old Kingdom doesn't die in blood and fire. The Old Kingdom just kind of, one day it was there and the next day it wasn't. And then after a little while, people decided to replace it with something else. What ultimately replaced it was the Middle Kingdom. So the Middle Kingdom is going to look like the Old Kingdom. In fact, a lot of people are going to want it to be a new Old Kingdom, but it can't be. Why? Because the Old Kingdom didn't work. So it's not going to have an army. Why? Because it's not going to get invaded. Like the Old Kingdom didn't get invaded. Now, we did talk about African mercenaries. Any good Middle Kingdom pharaoh will keep a bodyguard around, a nice little small elite force that will help him. Should any nobleman go back to thinking they could take over. Remember, they did just win a civil war, and so the worry is not invasion from outside. The worry is an insurrection from other noblemen. Well, you don't need a lot of men because Egyptians don't fight, and so any nobleman would. Where is he going to get an army from? And so you only need a little bodyguard police force kind of thing. Are they going to build pyramids? No. Why? Because they didn't work. Magnificent? Yes. But ultimately, they didn't work. They worked for a while. They worked for 1,000 years. But then they stopped working. And they were really the reason the Old Kingdom faded away. And so the Middle Kingdom says, well, that didn't really work. Let's do something else. So how do they gain legitimacy? Again, they have the same problem the Old Kingdom did. Life is good in Egypt. So how are they going to do it? Infrastructure. Economic prosperity. We're going to bring water to you. You live a little far away from the Nile. You want to start a farm when the Nile doesn't really flood. We're going to help you. Economic prosperity. We're going to make your life a little bit better. Remember, this is what the pyramids did. Put money in the people's pockets. So we get examples of the Upper Nile being dredged, which will allow trade to come through the first cataract. That's nice. That makes people money. We're going to set up mines in the Sinai. That's good. Makes Pharaoh money. Makes miners money. But the problem with infrastructure is it's not sexy. And people forget it once it's built. Look at the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. Look at the Walt Whitman Bridge. Do you know who built those? Do you know what party built them? Do you know which elected officials voted to give the money to build those bridges? No, you don't care. The bridge is up. There you go. Done. And so that's the problem with infrastructure, is you don't get a lot of credit for it. People normalize it. They forget that there wasn't a bridge there. And they go, oh, well, I'll just take the bridge. And they don't go, oh, the Democrats built that bridge, or oh, the Republicans built that. I'm going to vote for them. It's a one-time kind of psychological thing. And so you need something else. And so what they will come up with is culture. Cultural creation. This is aided by an invention of papyrus. Papyrus allowed for writing to become regularized and widespread. And we get one of the oldest stories on earth. Along with Gilgamesh, we get an Egyptian story of Senuhi. And I might be completely saying that wrong. But the idea is that unlike stone, writing on papyrus is light. It's the best thing you have to paper. And so it's easily transportable. You can write a lot and roll it up. So it's going to be in rolls. So when you see an ancient book like Herodotus and it's book 1, book 2, that's the rolls. Book 1 is the rolls. If you're Jewish or you've ever been to a synagogue, you see the Torah. The Torah is like that. That's how ancient writings would be. A giant roll. That's when you unroll it, you find the right section. And so the Great Library of Alexandria was full of these rolls. They're not books, they're rolls. So why? So what kind of cultural creation? Well, they're going to hire poets, plays, and they're going to do tales of greatness. Actors, construction workers, and they're going to send these guys on tour, and they're going to go from town to town to town. And what are they going to do? They're going to come in like Casey Jr. and Dumbo, the circus coming to town, and they're going to have horns blaring, and they're going to have dancers dancing, and they're going to come into a sleepy little Middle Kingdom town in 1850 BC, and they're going to say, "We have arrived. We're going to build a stage in the middle of town. And then for 3 days, we're going to put on plays for free." Well, who's going to want to go to that? Everybody's going to want to go to that. Every teenage girl is going to want to go to that. Because it's the coolest thing that has happened in town, like, ever. And if every teenage girl wants to go to it, every teenage boy wants to go with every teenage girl to it. And if they're going to go, the parents are going to go. No, parents will sit in the back. The teenagers will sit in the front. They'll get close and canoodle, but not too close. Parents understood in the ancient world, teenagers needed privacy, but not too much privacy. It's only in the modern world, only in the 20th century, where parents said, go do whatever the hell you want to do. Which is crazy. Crazy talk. But in the ancient world, and if you've ever seen The Godfather, you've seen a date. A traditional date. Michael Corleone asks the father, "I'd like to go out with your daughter, if she's okay with that." Apparently the father says okay, the daughter says okay, and there's a scene, and it's him on a walk with the girlfriend, and they walk into the frame, and they walk towards the end of the frame, and behind them are a bunch of little girls, nieces, sisters, and behind them are the mom and her sisters, and then behind them are the grandparents, the grandmoms, and old women. So they are alone on a date, but they are not isolated on the date. If that makes sense. Of course it makes sense. It's so that nothing naughty happens. So here we are in 1850 BCE, and we've got a play, and we've got seats, and the parents and the old folks are in the back, and the young folks are right up front, and they're like little holding hands so that no one can really see, but they're trying, and it's all cute, and everyone, and then out comes the MC, the master of ceremonies, and he says, "Thank you for coming out. Tonight we're going to put on a series of plays. All of this, the stage, the costumes, the actors, the play, the words, were all brought to you by a generous donation from Pharaoh. We hope you enjoy our plays." And everyone claps. And then what happens? A series of plays are put on. And what are those plays going to be about? Those plays are going to be about how awesome Pharaoh is. Did you hear the one about Pharaoh who saved the ducks from a flood? He's awesome. Or the time Pharaoh saved the young lovers from bad marriages, from kidnapping or pirates. Pharaoh is awesome. Why? Well, Pharaoh is paying playwrights who are cheap. Actors are cheap. As Shakespeare says, they're a dime a dozen. They're nothing. And if I'm going to give a grant to a playwright, I'm going to say, I want a play that makes me look good. Can you do that? And the playwright says, "How much are you paying me?" "I'll give you $10,000. And the playwright says, "Damn, Skippy, I'm going to make you look awesome, Pharaoh. You thought people thought well of you before. you're going to be awesome. And that's what happens. And so the plays that happen reflect Pharaoh's awesomeness. What is the advantage of this? The advantage is that it's cheap. It still contacts lots of people. As the plays go from town to town to town, people walk away from them going, "Oh, that's awesome. Pharaoh is awesome. Pharaoh wrestling the alligator." And little kids are going to be like, "I'm Pharaoh." And they're like, "No, I'm Pharaoh. No, you're the alligator. No, I'm Pharaoh." And everyone walks away thinking Pharaoh's awesome. Because they don't know. And why not? Life is good. Why wouldn't Pharaoh be awesome? They got a weekend of entertainment for free. Everything looks awesome. It was all brought by Pharaoh. Pharaoh must be awesome. Why would they tell great stories about Pharaoh if he wasn't awesome? So the advantage is it's cheap and it contacts lots of people. The disadvantage is you don't know who will hear these stories. Your Facebook, your Instagram is the exact equivalent today of this. Why? Have you ever posted something on your Instagram feed, your Snapchat, your Facebook, that somebody saw that you didn't intend to see and they completely misinterpreted what you meant? Like, that's exactly it. You don't know who can see your photo. So you post a picture of you having beers with your friends on a Friday night on July 4th. And you're like, yeah. And you post that on your Instagram. And you know it's a celebration. And your friends are like liking it. And everyone's happy, right? And then 2 months later, you apply for a job. And your boss does a Google search. And up comes that picture. And now, what was at the high point of summer, a great celebration of you and your homies, having a great time, not breaking any laws, being totally awesome. He looks at that and says, "What a lush. What a drunk. I don't want that. Freaking kids. Drunken millennials." And he doesn't hire you. That's not what that picture was about. That's not even what that picture shows. And yet, you couldn't determine, you couldn't limit, you didn't know who would see it and how. And that's exactly what happens here. I'll give you a story. How about the one where Pharaoh donated $1 billion, with a B, billion, to help orphans? Well, if you're the Egyptians, what part did you hear? You hear orphans. You don't hear $1 billion. I know you're all going to say $1 billion, but you don't hear $1 billion. Why? Because Pharaoh is rich. Of course he gave away a lot of money. He's rich. He's Pharaoh. You hear the orphans. Oh, isn't Pharaoh nice? He's helping orphans. He gave away money to help orphans. Pharaoh is just so awesome. He's helping the helpless among us. He's a great person. That's what an Egyptian would hear. But what would a pirate hear? What would a Mesopotamian pirate warrior lord hear? Does he hear orphans? Does he care about orphans? Does he even think about orphans? He makes orphans. He's a pirate. He kills people. He doesn't care about orphans. He hears $1 billion because he goes, if he gave away $1 billion, he's got to have more. And that is exactly what happened. The Hyksos, Mesopotamian warrior pirates, hear these stories, hear about how great Pharaoh is, and say, ha ha. Like, here, let me tell you a story about Pharaoh. Pharaoh is so awesome, he doesn't even need an army to protect himself. And he's so wealthy, he's got a giant pyramid of gold. It's so big, you can't even see the top of it. Now, that's a story meant to say Pharaoh's awesome. But if you're a pirate, you hear that and go, oh, really? A pyramid of gold and no army? It's like me telling you, my bank is awesome. My bank is so safe. They don't have any cameras in it. They don't have any guards with guns in it. Hell, they don't even have bulletproof glass because it's safe. You get to walk right up and do wonderful customer service face to face. Isn't that nice? To somebody who wants to invest in that bank, they might go, that's great, great customer service, perfectly safe. But if you're a bank robber, you say, how much money do they have in their vault? Oh, I don't know, at least 10 million. Really? Oh, yeah, it's very safe. It's in a safe neighborhood. It's right near a highway. You could get right in and right off. Right on the highway, right back. Barely slow down. Oh, really? You can't, once the story is out there, you can't determine who will hear it or how they will hear it. And so the Hyksos are Mesopotamian warrior pirates. They come out of Mesopotamia. Which means they come out of a tough neighborhood. They're in the hood, man. We've talked about Mesopotamia. We have Persians, we have Assyrians, we have Babylonians. We have war all the time, constantly at war. So if you can survive in Mesopotamia, you're tough. And they have it. They have chariots, wheels, archers. They have the horses. They have the whole thing. And they cross the Sinai. We don't know how. We don't know who they are. There's thoughts, maybe they're Canaanites. Maybe they're Phoenicians. Because if you're going to cross the Sinai, you need boats. And the Phoenicians have always had boats. But we don't really know who they are. And they cross the Sinai. They invade Lower Egypt, the Delta, and they crush the Pharaoh, kill him and his bodyguards. I mean, he gets his group together. He goes out to fight the Hyksos, but it's like fighting aliens with laser guns. I mean, how do you do that? They have horses, chariots, the super weapon of the age, and you've never even seen a wheel. You haven't seen any of this technology. It must have been like magic. And they come rolling through, crush the Pharaoh, kill him in battle, end the Middle Kingdom, loot Lower Egypt, begin the Second Intermediate Period. This is a trauma. The Middle Kingdom ends in blood and fire. Now, the Hyksos don't conquer all of Egypt. Why? Because they're pirates. They're not conquerors. They're there to loot the hell out of the place. And so you can imagine a bunch of guys sitting in a place, drunk, drinking, having captured some slave girls, burning down a place like it's Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Magic Kingdom, and being like, dude, there's the rest of Egypt way up there. It's like 800 miles. We could conquer that, dude. And the guy turns around and goes, yeah, that'd be awesome, but man, does that mean I'd have to get up early? It's like, yeah, you'd have to water your horses. You'd have to get your bows ready. You'd have to get your spear sharpened. Like, or we could just get drunk. Yeah. Like, they're pirates, man. They got what they wanted. They're looting the half of the richest country in the whole wide world. These are not the most dexterous of people. They look at Upper Egypt and say, it's far away. I've already got what I want. I don't need to go there. But because there's no Pharaoh, Upper Egypt is a mess. because all these different nobles are saying, I am going to save us. I'm going to be the one who saves us. I'm going to do it. Every little dinky nobleman is like now thinks they're Superman. And so they're fighting with each other. And this is a giant trauma. How did this happen? Traumas are the psychological reaction to a negative event. And basically, you ask two questions. How did this happen? And how do I prevent it from ever happening again? And so what Egypt needs is a hero. They need a hero. They need one person who can unify the nobility, who can create a Mesopotamian army, get his own horses, get his own chariots, build his own wheels, train these guys, soldiers, Egyptians who have never fought organized before in their lives, to be able to beat up a bunch of professional pirates. And Egypt will get that person, and that person will be Ahmose. Ahmose is the Superman of Egypt. He gets forgotten with the Ramses, but he is as important. He's more important in many ways because he does so many amazing things. In the moment when Egypt is at its lowest point, he bands the nobility together. He beats up some, he marries another, he organizes them. He's able to then build a Mesopotamian army. I don't know how he does it. But he looks at the Hyksos army and says, we need one of those. And so, boom, he's just going to copy it. The Egyptians don't have wheels. The Egyptians don't have chariots. The Egyptians don't fight this way. Well, they are going to fight this way now. They're just going to copy it. Because we don't have time to fight, to create an Egyptian army. We're going to create a Mesopotamian army, and we're going to fight that way. We've got the money. We've got the men. And we've got the will. And it is Ahmose who will organize this. And he will create this army. He will march down the Nile. He will beat up the Hyksos. He will kick them out in the Sinai. They will be forgotten from history. They disappear into history. We don't know who they are. And Ahmose will create the new kingdom. And that will be our next subject. Thank you.